But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why, 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win. We choose to go to the moon.
All right, everyone, welcome to Super Happy Dragon Lucky. This is episode 0x46. It's the 71st episode. Please welcome our guest, Steve Bennett. Steve works as a senior analyst for the Federal Reserve Board of Governors. He's also the founder of Findera and Simplicity, a smart city and community support network. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you.
So let's start off with what your role at the Federal Reserve Board is.
So thank you for asking, Joe, and it's good to be here. I am a management analyst at the Federal Reserve Board, and I work with workforce analytics. So my job is to help use data and analytics to find, recruit, develop the best talent to fill the mission of the board, and also to support the employee experience through data. However, my purpose here today is to talk about the work that I do personally, and just a standard disclaimer, I am not representing the Federal Reserve Board today, and anything I say is my own opinion and ideas. So just to set that distinction, and I work, I love to work with the data, business process and innovation. So it's all, it's all interesting work.
Great. And speaking of Findera and Simplicity, and we've talked to you a little bit about that, but can you tell the people, what those two entities are all about? Sure.
So I guess, I really kind of have to go back to my beginnings a little bit to explain a little bit of the why and what we're working on here and what it's all about. I grew up in a small Midwestern town, and my parents really modeled civic engagement, good hard work ethic, and just being present and caring about your community. So it was the only way that I, understood to go in life. And so I brought that with me into my work, first as a graphic artist and eventually into technology and analytics. And so I say I've gone from an artist to an analyst. And along the way, remained very interested in civic tech, municipal efficiency, and it's just kind of where my heart and passion lies. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but one of the biggest reasons is it's just because where people live. And I think it's a great opportunity for us to improve our quality of life overall just by paying attention to where we live and how we do the governance within the places that we live.
Right.
So I started Findera a few years ago, and it was oriented around municipal efficiency. And we still do work there. There's performance metrics, opportunities for improvement in business processes. One of the things that's interesting about cities is they're very similar in form. There are a little over 19,000 municipalities in the country, and they are almost all based on a charter template by the National League of Cities that was developed in 1913. And if you think about it, they all deal with water, sewer, streets, fire, police, parks. So there's a lot of similarities, and so therefore I think opportunities in the way we look at that. But if you step back from that a little further and look at very small towns, like where I came from, it's even more interesting to me because they have the same issues and the same processes with far less resources and expertise to deal with them. And so I feel there is an opportunity to rethink and to apply new capabilities with technology to how especially small communities are governed, specifically self-governed. And so along the way, we've developed a project, we call it Simplicity. And the idea is to bring technological capabilities to bear in very small communities that would otherwise perhaps not have any technology or wouldn't know how to proceed. So that's the idea, and that's what we're looking at.
Right, and because I'm really interested in the smart city work. That it's always out there. It's always interesting. It's so hard to break in, though. It seems so often the bureaucracy doesn't want change primarily, mm-hmm. more than anything. But we have even spoken locally here in Washington with people about blockchain voting, and there are a few other blockchain companies that are interested. But it's been a very, very much total pushback. Nobody even wants to hear that. So, I mean, do you have any thoughts around that area?
I have a couple of thoughts on that. I mean, one of the phrases that I've used often, I call it status quo inertia, is one way to look at it. But there's a lot of reasons for people to not feel motivated to make change there. Interesting, Bloomberg sponsored a project in Austin a few years ago to see if they could deliver home services to homeless people in an efficient way, and they used some blockchain technology to do it. Part of the findings were that while they were able to do some good things and show some promise, they ran into quite a bit of challenge in terms of, I call it the last mile, but legacy government is the way they phrased it, I believe. And making that last mile transition, digital transformation around legacy government processes is a very tall hurdle. And that's not unique to the civic space either. So right. in a sense, it emphasizes to me the sort of green space of these small communities who have no legacy processes, so to speak, or very few to overcome. It's, in one way, we might think of them as a digital native.
Right.
When we put this together for them.
Right. That's a really good point, actually. And how, I guess, because we've spoken before, obviously, but if you could tell people how you look at Dragonchain, how it fits into what your projects are doing and what's coming, and and why did you choose Dragonchain in particular, right?
Sure. So I'll go back just a little bit and talk about my entree into the blockchain world. It was several years ago where it came on my radar, and I was less interested in the currency side, cryptocurrency. I thought it was novel and interesting, but I was very intrigued about the possibilities, the art of the possible with smart contracts and the disintermediation capabilities around business processes. That really caught my attention.
Right.
So it was a little while before I kind of connected the dots there, that the technology was highly suitable and aligned with the needs to do something like this in a small town. So the very basic value propositions of distributed ledger are very well aligned with some of the challenges that we need to accomplish. You have multiple riders in a low trust environment, disintermediation. So we're aiming for self-governance here. How far can we go with some peer-to-peer self-governance?
Right.
And so distributed ledger lends itself very well to those types of concepts.
Right. Yeah, because I always thought, especially you're talking about government, that the fact that you could, at least theoretically, incentivize both the public and the bureaucracy to be more efficient, right? I mean, you could actually have rewards for improving things that no one would expect, right? The things that are never improved in a city, right? So that's really interesting.
Exactly. And so, I'm sorry, Joe, some of the research that we see, one of the biggest challenges that leaders in small communities have is a form of apathy. So I've noticed this phenomenon in small and medium-sized towns as well. Probably large cities have it too, but the city council chambers are generally scant with public attendance until there's a hotspot or a flare-up, and then it's standing room only. So, my vision of a better way would include a more ongoing conversation between both the officials and leaders in the community and the community itself. So, you mentioned the incentives, and so I think gamification in this concept is part of the answer as well. To design the proper incentives, put transparency around that, and allow that to help move things in the right direction.
Yep. Yeah. Transparency. That's an amazing thing, right? That would be different. Totally different world. But a lot of cities already have budgetary things like that are they have to be transparent anyway. It'd be nice if it was on-chain provable, right?
Correct.
So instead of just a website that something. We've even seen things in some states this past year where documents, because of COVID or whatever else, they just disappear, right? And it's still anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
And another quick thought on that is, we want to go beyond requirements. If we can involve people in discretionary activities around community planning. I struggle with the term, but we call it urban planning. Even in small rural towns, it's urban planning.
Yes.
That can be a participatory process. And so it's not required, but I think it would definitely lend toward efficiency and quality of life and improvement.
Right. That's great. Okay, so
can I share one more thing real quick?
Sure.
So part of your question was, so I described how I started to get interested in blockchain, but with respect to Dragonchain, I want to say that I had ran into an old friend who introduced me to Trey Rutledge, and we were talking about my friend Dathan is a civic-minded guy, good guy. So we were talking about these concepts and ideas, and he recognized right away that we needed to be talking.
Yes.
So he introduced me to Trey, and not long after that, Dathan and I visited you in Seattle and had that conversation. And so, it's been pretty obvious, I think, that we've got some great opportunities, and we're just sort of peeling back and discovering exactly what they are right now.
Yes. Yeah. Dathan is the best, by the way. So yeah, he's a great guy. So, and by the way, so we're talking a lot about Den lately. You're going to at least, jump into that and start a layer too, right? So a business layer. I don't know that we know. What do you think so far? You might not know what you're going to do with it yet, but.
Well, yeah. I mean, we're stepping into these waters, and I'm learning. I'm a low code guy. I'm not a coder. As I said before, I was an artist first. So I'm an artist and an innovator and a shameless, hack in some ways. So when I started to learn about low code, no code, APIs, and figure out that I can actually do some of this stuff, or at least get prototypes or concepts underway where I can express the idea and get additional help on that. That's one of the strong appeals to me with Dragonchain overall and the Den layer. And so I don't know what I don't know yet, but I'm very encouraged and optimistic with what I see and how we're going to step through this. So.
Excellent. Yeah, we're excited about all of the ideas coming in. A lot of them that you've brought up, and a lot of the things that I know that you're already working with people on are really, in my opinion at least, very good strategic use cases for the technology generically, right? And so I'm always happy when I see that the platform is actually doing what it was designed to do, right? Which is, okay, it's flexible enough to fit into any of these situations in some way and provide value, right? That's the main point. So it's always awesome seeing what is done with it. So that's great. Okay, so
I was going to say, Joe, that's a really good point. I guess if you would consider this work in the civic tech space, I don't think of it as much that way. I think of it more in terms of just the civic process, and tech is a helper. So I am not. I'm essentially technology agnostic. I want to find the right tool, the right component to do what needs to get done. So although I have some favorite technologies, we stay open to what is the right fit. And so
that's the right way. And that, by the way, that's a good architecture is usually made up of it's all about selection, and it's all about the fact that, okay, all of the things that don't really affect your goals, the what platform you're running, what what hardware platform you're running on, what operating system you're running. You should be using commodity. You should be using commodity hardware. Some Intel-based or x86-based hardware. You should be using Linux for an operating system. You should be using whatever platforms give you the most flexibility, and then you should be building the thing that you're building on top of it. And that way, it's like you just reduce all of the work. And then your future is wide open because all that commodity stuff will just keep getting more efficient and cheaper, right? So, that's right. Okay, so where can people?
Want arbitrary complexity, and we remind the name of our project.
That's the way. So where can people learn more? Where can people follow what's happening?
I would say right now probably there is a contact form on Findera.com. It's probably a great way to just get a hold of me, and I'll establish a connection. I do like to network on LinkedIn, and we don't have a lot of regular sort of publications or anything going right now. So right now the story is ask me and I'll tell you. And we'll be developing some more content because there's a lot of interest on what we're doing. So we do want to record that and kind of put it out for people to both understand and also contribute. We want to be open with this. We need all the ideas we can get, and the cool thing is, everyone lives somewhere. So this should be a relevant idea to every single one of us.
Yes,
everyone's welcome.
I agree. Right on. Yeah, nose to the grindstone. Everything else. So. Thanks for coming on today. This was awesome. We'll be right back with some updates on Den and updates on Dragonchain after this. Do ask questions in the comments in the meantime if you have any questions for me to answer later. So thanks, Steve.
Yep, thank you.
See you soon.
Bye, guys.
Op sociale mediaplatforms vandaag de dag gaat kwaliteitsinhoud vaak onopgemerkt voorbij. Op den krijgen gebruikers betaald voor het maken, evalueren en beheren van kwaliteitsinhoud. Contentmakers worden beloond op basis van de betrokkenheid en het bereik van een bericht of opmerking. Contentbeoordelaars worden beloond op basis van de snelheid en resultaten van hun voorspellingen over welke content trending zal zijn of viraal zal gaan. Eigenaren van communities worden beloond op basis van betrokkenheid binnen een community. Kwaliteitsinhoud loont op den.
All right. Extra points to whoever can tell me what Verspelgen is. All right. So let's start this week with number go up. So very interesting. This week we're going to do DragonNet metrics. All right. Yeah, I know crypto Twitter only talks about price, but this is still a number, and if it goes up, we'll talk about it. Okay. So last week, number go up, and this week, the analysts are predicting number go up. We'll see. And there is, by the way, on DEN, if you look, there is a contest that our good friend Tenacious Dragon runs. I think every day, pretty much, unless he's out on vacation or something, where people will guess the number, and it's Price is Right rules. So, we do tie it into something with price anyway, and that you can't go over. But usually he gives a ton. I think he probably unloads all of his energy on that, because I think he doesn't have time or doesn't have energy after that to work in the LCP sometimes even. But I think that people, when they, and here's something I want to talk about actually, because I was going to post it yesterday. I thought, maybe I shouldn't. The weird thing is, if everybody else just votes up once on that person, that vote will get consensus, and that energy will turn into quite a bit of matter for whoever wins. So it's kind of up to you whether I will typically throw in a single vote on the person to at least give it some extra consensus. Usually I'll give a little more than that, but they're getting some pretty good numbers out of it. Dollar value or matter direct. So whoever wins that usually does pretty well that day. So it's pretty cool. Join in there. It's a good way. I think if we would have planned it any other way to promote the people to look at the metrics page and for people to understand DEN, it's probably the best combination ever. And Tenacious Dragon, he's done it for a while. So anyway, next up, we did also, by the way, there were some people that reported it, and in the middle of holidays and everything else, it took us a while to get to it, but there were 2 metrics on the page that weren't updating, and it turns out there was something with a few of the nodes that caused them to fail, and so they just didn't report. So just so you know, those numbers are now updated with all of the actual past proper metrics, so you can, if it mattered to you, I think it was the fees per million time average, and the average word per 1 million time per level. So that was at least one of them. There were 2 of them in there, but anyway, that's good. Next up, DEN matter metrics are live, and most of you did see this last week, but we want to still show it to you. We do have a couple of updates coming. One is that, so first of all, you can go to any day all the way to the beginning of the actual matter mining origin, which was, I think, January 22 maybe, I think that's right, of 2020. So we've been mining matter since then. It hasn't been available on Ethereum until these past few weeks, of course, but there was no pre-mine. Everyone started from scratch, and if you look, January 2020, January 22nd, 2020. That's an interesting combination. That Tenacious Dragon here earned 3.9368 matter, and most of this stuff is approximate, because there's probably some rounding errors when we're printing a lot of it. But if we want to view one that we know has hopefully some layer and post and reply info. Okay, October 18. So we go to the top. Here's layer reward. So Tenacious Dragon owns part or all of the board layer, if you look at this. So on that date, he earned 24 matter. The total energy, and some of this, I hope I get this right, because there are a lot of numbers here, of course, but the total energy is how much energy went into the board layer that day, the 587. 555.2 was from 6 unique upvoters. There were no downvoters, but the layers and anyone who isn't directly downvoted actually gets energy from the downvote. They get positive energy. There were 32 energy from 5 posts. There was 0.2 energy from 2 replies, so on and so on. So if we go down now to content, okay, go up to go up to a different day. Let's see if we can find one with, yes, yeah, because we know you posted at least something yesterday. And so if we go down to content, you can see for every post the approximate amount of matter you earn. So his metrics prophecy, you see, he usually gets 1,000 or 2,000 energy voted on it, first of all, plus he gets votes from below. So he got 22 matter from that. There was 3,200 energy applied to it. 13 unique upvoters. So he had 13 unique upvoters and 0.8 energy from 1 unique downvoters. And the reason that it is partial is because the consensus itself. So how do I say this? That he would have gotten a portion of, like say if someone voted down on one post below, that's what it looks like that he would, or maybe it's multiples, but he would have gotten a portion of each of those energy votes up to his post. And there is consensus, so he got a vote adjustment of 1. If you see a vote adjustment of 0.08 or 0.15, that means that you only got 1, 2, or 3 people weighing in on whether that content was good. And so what you want is more people to vote, whether they vote up a lot of energy or not. You actually don't care. If you get one person voting 1,000 energy and you get 20 people voting 1 energy, then you're going to get full consensus and you're going to get full credit for that 1,000 energy. If somebody just gives you 5,000 energy but they're the only one that votes on it, then you're basically going to get, I think it's either 4 or 7% of that 1,000, and it's a scaled thing for consensus. He also, if you see the fees, got a portion of energy from all of the replies and all of the votes on the replies. So if you make a post that actually generates a lot of conversation, especially if it's good conversation that gets a lot of upvotes, you stand to gain even more, right? So that's the goal. We're trying to incentivize all of those actions and trying to give you the metrics so that you can see what works and what doesn't. Here also is a reply. So he got half, basically 0.5119 matter from a reply to a post. So you guys like cannabis ? Posted in the 420, the new layer. And his vote adjustment here, he had 2 unique upvoters, so he gets 15% of that energy applied. So it's all based on consensus. If you have downvotes, it is proportional. So if you had 1,000 down and 10,000 up, then it's 1/10 down. So you're getting 90% approximate. And then the very last thing that we did have on there, and apologies, there was an oversight, and we had originally tried to get the top level. It's not in there anymore. A top level of the eval metrics, but as it turns out, the way that the eval pool is tabulated, that basically, you think about it, we have to take the top 21 posts that are trending, and soon we'll be doing the 21 most downvoted posts as well, and he has to take the metrics on all of those and find out, okay, you voted on this, you put this much energy in at this hour, and based upon the hour and the slice that post gets of the full pool, you will get rewards for that eval. So what you want to do is find the things that will be top trending posts, vote on them as early as possible, and put in the real weight that you think, it's basically a prediction market. It's saying, I'm taking this energy that isn't really a token, but it has some scarcity though, so I'm going to put it on this post because I think that everyone in that layer will enjoy this post for one reason or another. It's an appropriate post for the layer, good content, quality content, and if everyone else agrees, then your energy won't be wasted. I mean, if nobody else agrees, then that person will get a little bit and you'll never get the eval out of it. But, you know, you're at least weighing in. So it has good effect even if it doesn't, if you guess wrong. But the goal is for you to pretty much help that layer find the best content soonest. And if you do, then you will be rewarded. And that will be coming. The dev that's working on that is actually finishing up connections to the lore and lock contracts coming, and also working on a couple of other pools that I hope we can announce next week that are going to also be behavioral pools to help grow the system and increase the quality of all the content. So all that stuff's coming. We also have some things coming with tagging that I'm going to probably be asking for feedback on a couple of things in Den, so do watch for that, because as we plan these things, we want to make sure that we don't miss any opportunity to, you know, improve it. So I'll be throwing that stuff into the Den layer anytime we have something. So you know, feel free to any idea is good, and we really appreciate all the feedback. So as you guys know, if you've been watching the conversations in Den, right, there's been really good feedback lately. So let's see here, and as to the metrics, we wanted to mention why we actually wanted to do this for a while, and we realized that this was extremely important to improve the system, to give the user, to give you the actual transparency. You can see of all of your activity yesterday as much as we can, to show you what worked, what got you more matter and what didn't. You know, you might have done something and you know, thought, hey, this will be great. I'll get a bunch of matter for doing this, and you realize it didn't, but something else that's much simpler did. And we want to do that because some of the, as you know, as many people know, it's not a simple back end. It is very planned, and it is very intentional, the modeling that we have, but we don't want everyone to have to fully understand all the formulas. Obviously, you know, that's the sausage making behind the scenes. We just want it to be a good experience, and to let people understand as easily as possible how to you know, help their layer community, to help Den, to and to benefit themselves. And so with this, it's all about you know, behavioral incentives, and transparency of what they are, and you know, what the results are. So that's why that's there. And hopefully we will have a prettier report coming up soon. You know, we threw this out so that we could get it out quick, and it's plain text and simple, but you know, it's printable and everything else, so that's good. But it will be prettier later, and hopefully even have some, you know, maybe some better descriptions as well. Let's see here. We also had an LCP, a layer creation process, last week, and it was actually quite a success. We had done, I think we had executed 3 of those before. I'm pretty sure it's either 2 or 3 before. Very small, very limited to test it out, and in the past they were extremely successful, in my opinion, because we were testing out a few concepts on how to rapidly create a community that actually doesn't fall flat. You know, it keeps going. And if you look at all of those layers, some of them more active than others, obviously, but I think almost all of those layers from that we had created in the past are pretty well active. And in this LCP process, this time we actually had 53. I think it was 53. We had a few more that ended up consolidating into together, but we had 53 proposals up, and you know, we were only opening up for 3 new layers, so you know, an overabundance of ideas, and we really appreciate them. and want to apologize that there weren't enough slots yet, but it's early, right? And what we want to do is to make it so that over time, some of the more general layers will be there, so that someone joining up in 6 months or 12 months or even 18 months, that there's still opportunity to create things that are needed, and this also helps us select, right? And it's not an arbitrary decision by me or by Den or by the people that work at Dragonchain. It very much is community driven. You use your scarcity to help decide which layers that we're creating, and over time the LCP will be driven by user adoption. That is, the more users, the more activity, the more layers will open up, and there is always also the ability for you to come to us if you have a layer that didn't make it, but you really, really are passionate about, especially if you have a team, if you have more than one person that wants to work it. And we had tons of voting. We had tons of interesting concepts pop up. There were some that I really wanted to see happen, but it wasn't in the cards this time, and it was very focused on trying to get the right what the community wanted, but also to select what will be active right now and will keep going, and then with growth, a lot of opportunity. So who won? Sports, Code, and All Things Cannabis. And I think Code took an early lead, and it was pretty much insurmountable lead. It had, I think, 72 or 1,000 energy voted. It was extremely high, 74,000, crazy. And so the way it works, and by the way, the only reason we did this with energy is because we were waiting for lore and lot to be finished. They're still doing reviews on the code. It's very close, the contracts. And in the meantime, we thought, okay, let's do what we did in the past with the betas, because a lot of people are clamoring, chomping at the bit, if you would say, to create new layers. People are wanting new layers, and there's still some that are, I think, definitely needed. You can kind of tell by what gets posted in some layers that's not precisely part of it. That one way or another, we did energy because there's scarcity. Everybody has some. It works. We've done it before. In the future, we will be using lore. So you'll be voting with lore either on Ethereum itself, on the outside, or inside of Den. There will be multiple ways to do things, but the process will be very similar, where there will be a period of time that people make proposals. Then those proposals will be registered into the smart contract, and then people will literally push lore into the smart contract, and it will be locked. And I can't remember if it's locked until the end, or maybe you can pull it out during the contest. But once the decision is made, and we say, okay, there are the top 5 winners are created, let's say the top 20. Say there are 20 layers to be created. All of those layers will basically lock the lot into lock the lore into the lot contract, and the lot will be issued, or basically withdrawable from the contract by the people. The lot is ownership of that layer. It's 1-to-1, so everybody who put in one lore will get one lot. It's similar with this, where you look at those energy numbers. I can't remember what the total was, but it was a lot of energy. All of that will be... Den is basically donating its lore to make those lots as soon as the lot comes out. So in the meantime, there's no lot right now, but it's coming. So everyone who put a vote in on any of those will get one lot per vote that they put in. And we have a lot of hope for those 3 layers. They're already pretty active. A lot of really good people that are already posting good content. So So that's the LCP process. Hopefully we'll have something to announce next week with Lore and Lot, or at least to, walk you through. And next item, Horizon, Zendu. Horizon is integrating Factor into their sidechain SDK. That is Dragon Factor, Factor which has been spun off into MiFi. So MiFi is involved with this. That basically, for anyone at a high level to understand how Factor and MiFi work together and how it will work with this, that Factor is the what I guess you might call the protocol itself. It will be open source, and yet all of that IP that Dragonchain had has been passed on to MiFi, and so anything that or anyone that integrates Factor can use MiFi. So it's basically within the same protocol, within the same structures, data structures. You will be able to also work or use enterprise verification capabilities. If I need to do a full KYC, if I'm a bank and I need to do a full KYC, I can plug Factor into my app and I can do full KYC. If I'm a startup and I'm a game or something, I only need somebody to be able to log in, I use Factor, and now I have all these interesting ways for people to log in and prove who they are and sign messages and things like that. But let's say my lawyers later tell me that I really need KYC because they're going to withdraw some token or some something of value from the game that is over a certain amount, and we're in the United States or we're in Europe or something, and my lawyer tells me, oh, you need to do a full KYC, that you can then turn that on. And there's going to be some really interesting monetization of identity and KYC that will help MiFi with adoption, and Dragonchain for that matter. Everything's on Dragonchain, right? So one way or another, we have gotten together with Horizon. They're some really great guys. They're very philosophically aligned. It seems that they're all about building stuff and not pure hype, not the typical things that you get in crypto. So it's a nice thing to experience. So their customers are going to be able to handle sensitive data without risk. What you already know about Factor with the decentralized identity, it means that their customers could plug this in and handle HIPAA compliance much easier, as we have with SafePass as an example, or handle other GDPR, CCPA in a much more provable way, in a way that's less risky, less scary for a business, especially startups. So high hopes for that, and the announcement, there was some good information around it, so go check that out. I think that's all the updates I have. Are there any, let's see here, are there any questions? Good questions. Let's see here. Is the list of approved discussion, this is Charles Patterson, I'll pop it up here. Is the list of approved discussion a consensus developed, organic to each group or session? Or is approved inappropriate discussion a protocol embedded in the code? Can we address this here? I assume you mean on DIN. Right? I assume you mean on DIN. So if it is, let's see here, the list of approved discussion. We're not, well, if I understand correctly, a layer has a culture of its own. So big layer, small layer, basically they'll set their own culture, and that culture can shift over time, and there are ways that people can influence it. But because there's some very organic banning techniques with blocking that we have in there as an example. But one way or another, approved discussion would mean just literally, and maybe the best way to describe this, I've described this before, that seemed to be enlightening, that the goal of it was literally not that you have to like the content. And in fact, we want pretty much to stay away from that if you can while you're in there. To be, how do I say this? It's hard to describe. If you want to be profitable, if you want to contribute well to the community, what you want to do is vote up or down to the measure that you think this content will be well received by others in the community, which is kind of an odd thing, right? You can ignore that entirely and say, I hate this content, I'm voting it down. Or I love this content, I don't know that anybody else in this layer will love it, but I'm going to vote 5,000 energy on it. If it's inappropriately placed, if the content doesn't really belong in that, okay, I'll get to the questions about Dragon. Sorry. Well, I'm explaining then. If context, I'm sorry. If you describe it, or if you vote on it based upon what the community will love, you stand to benefit better, and that's the point of it. Theoretically, if you had a capitalist and a socialist layer, that theoretically the socialist could go into the capitalist layer and profit well by not trolling them, but instead by helping them curate their content, by basically finding the good content that's posted earlier and seeing it upvoted. But for that matter, they could even post good content if they are good enough at empathetic placement that they can decide, oh, I know what these people, and and it's a good thing anyway for discussion. Okay. So Charles later then says the questions about Dragon. So is a list of approved discussion a consensus developed organic to each group or session? Is that what's have to do with Dragon? I guess inappropriate approved discussion of protocol embedded in the code. Can we address this here? I don't know what you mean. I guess is that what you're talking about in the discussion groups, or anyway, I don't know. Oh, okay. If the consensus is developed in the program by the users, I have no problem with that. Okay. Okay. All right. How's the patent going, and can you elaborate? Gosh, so we have the interchain patent. We have the tokenized microlicense patent, which could be very important in the future, depending on what happens in the world. Interchain patent, I think, is holy grail. It is literally any blockchain speaking to another, and it's for our protection from known potential bullies, maybe I would say. Hopefully they'd just rather work with us instead, though. But either way, you never know. Maybe we can monetize that patent some way and maybe scare some people by saying that, which is not bad sometimes. The other one that was huge is the time patent, which is tenure or time on the blockchain and the ability to use it both for improving security, which is a definite hit, a definite true use of it. But in my opinion, the most important part of it isn't even loyalty. Loyalty is huge too. The most important part of it is the scalability, that we use time as scarcity for the scalability of the consensus algorithm on DragonNet. And that, I think, though a niche of a niche of a niche of a niche in the crypto world understand what we're doing, or even care maybe, that I think is the most important, possibly the most important thing we've done, is time. The other thing that just happened a few months ago without much fanfare at all was a patent, and you can look it up, on enterprise orchestration of smart contracts, which is huge. So it's basically like some of the if IBM is listening, like WebSphere with smart contracts, right? You could also cite WebLogic and a few other of the enterprise vendors that do some really good stuff. But what we do is we allow them to prove all of those steps, and that all those steps happened, and also give the flexibility to orchestrate smart contracts and ledgering step by step through a process. That's gigantic. And given the fact that our others have so far kind of gone unnoticed by a lot of people in the industry, we haven't pushed it a lot yet. So that'll come up later. So All right, when the Wendy's lair? That's a good question. We probably ought to ask Jeffrey Netherlands, and if I had the picture up, I would show you the guy that we might have to ask because he owns the Wendy's trademark in Europe. Yeah, maybe they should start a Wendy's lair just to prompt Wendy's to create a Wendy's Europe. And see, I'm trying to help the good people over the pond there who do need Wendy's, because I do think it's pretty good burgers. I like them. They're like they're probably about 10 minutes away from our house, so they're not the ones we always go to. Five Guys is like a block away, so I tend to go there more often, but I do like Wendy's better. So anyway, let's see here. Is that it? Is that all the questions? When Chad, yeah. I don't know. Tell us when you want. But Chad needs his own lair, actually. I don't even think he has his own Twitter account. That's the funny thing. So I think that's everything. We'll just join up next week. Go and get some Dragon merch. It's always there. Sorry we haven't been doing giveaways. We've been pretty busy. Haven't had time to even think about it. Oh, but there is, if I understand correctly, there will be soon some new items in the store, so that'll be cool. Right before Christmas, hopefully it could get you in time. So watch us again next Tuesday. Follow us, Real Denizens, Dragonchain Gang, and Jojo Row. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and we'll see you next week. Thanks.